Hi gang, Rob here. It is late in the evening of 17 June 2013. Tonight, got a little knife review for you all. This one is going to be on the venerable, very famous, and outstanding Spyderco Sage 1. The first in a series of tribute knives from Spyderco. So far, a series of 4, each a tribute to a knife designer with a famous locking system. The Sage 1 featuring the Michael Walker liner lock. Yes, the liner lock. The first sort of alternative locking mechanism to the back lock and its variations, the mid lock and front lock as they're sometimes referred to. The liner lock uses a stainless steel liner partially cut away, bent inward and used as a spring to lock against a precisely machined blade tang. Don't know why I felt the need to explain that in such great detail. We all know what a liner lock is, don't we? Now the subsequent versions of the Sage are the Sage 2 with the Chris Reeve integral lock and titanium handle, the Sage 3 in bright blue G10, with the Blackie Collins, what do they call it, a piston lock, which is similar to the later Benchmade Axis lock and Spyderco ball bearing lock. A little blade wipe for you. And then the Sage 4 in ironwood and titanium with the Almar mid-lock or front lock. Tonight we're going to talk about the Sage 1. Probably, in my opinion, the best of the 4. Not glamorous, not exotic, just extremely well done. Well, you've all heard the specifics on this knife, but let's go over them real quickly. We have a knife with a Spyderco leaf-shaped blade, 3 inches in length, made from 1/8 stock, machined from Crucible CPM S30V powdered stainless steel. Handle constructed of, yes, stainless steel liners, and the G10 with carbon fiber veneer, nicely textured scales. Look at the symmetry in this knife. 3 fasteners, pivot, and 2 body screws, all the same. I have a stop pin inside the spine area of the knife. Beautifully shouldered, hourglass shaped, highly polished stainless steel pivots. The liners on this knife are skeletonized to save weight. And what about that weight? 3.2 ounces, just enough to be solid feeling in your hand, not heavy enough to be cumbersome in any way. The handle is, depending on how you read it, 4.187 or 4 3/16, or possibly 4 1/8, because Spyderco lists the overall length of the knife at 7 1/8. I'm not sure how their math works on this one. The knife is constructed by Spyderco's maker in Taichung, Taiwan. Has an MSRP of $199. Can be purchased rather readily with an online retailer or on eBay in the secondary markets for, well, let's say between $100 and $120, and no, not too tough to score this knife toward the lower end of that range. What is the role of the Sage 1? Well, as I see it, it is an everyday carry / gentleman's folder. So attractive, so unintimidating, has such great utility. This knife doesn't scare anybody, it's just handsome. Good little package opener, good little nylon strap tie cutter, blister pack opener. Can it be used for heavier tasks than that? Oh, you bet it can. This blade of 1/8 stock is riding on some rather thick and beefy phosphor bronze washers. Knife has extremely strong lockup, no side-to-side play, no up and down, and I think you can bet this knife will maintain that for many, many years of good use. Look at the finish on that blade, beautiful satin. I must say though, although it is beautiful and although it's very uniform, it has a lot of texture that does sort of inhibit the knife's slicing ability, especially through cardboard. But not to worry. What about quality? You know, let's think for a minute. The price point for this knife is almost the same as the Spyderco Paramilitary 2, a larger knife built in Golden, Colorado, and this Taiwan-produced blade, almost the same money. No difference really in material cost, same blade steel. You could make the case that these scales might be a little more expensive to produce than the G10 on the Paramilitary 2. But my point in that part of the discussion is just to say that Spyderco's Taichung maker takes no back seat to the Colorado guys. Just look at the finish quality on this knife. I'm going to try to come in close and give you a good shot of the edges of this knife. Look at the fit and finish between scales and liners. Look at the finish quality of the edges of the liners. No detail overlooked on this knife. Those guys in Taichung just rock. Have a 13mm spider hole. Have jimping on the thumb ramp on the spine, also in the 50/50 choil. How are the ergonomics on this knife? Well, I think they're pretty good. It's sort of a 3.5 finger knife in a saber grip using the rearward choil. I guess my pinky's almost all there. Move forward a little bit for fine tasks, and it's certainly a 4-finger knife. You can rest your thumb on the ramp, or you can come down the blade for fine tasks. Not that you'd ever use it in this role, but the reverse grip, very comfortable. Sorry guys, poison ivy's almost healed. In a hammer grip, pretty comfortable using the rearward choil. Even more comfortable if I wanted to come up and chop or carve using the forward choil. If I'm doing a draw cut, I'm going to sort of lay the knife inside these 4 fingers. Very comfortable in that grip as well. Just a super well designed handle. I got this knife out for review this evening because it was time for a perfect edge on the Edge Pro Apex, and I think we got there. I'll come in just a little tight and show you. We put a finger notch in this little guy tonight. Don't know how well that's showing up on the camera. Just relieved that plunge grind a hair so I could get that stone all the way in to the base of the blade. Make it cut real well. I was having trouble with the base of the blade without the notch. I think it came out really, really well. How about the action on this thing? Well, as I showed you, no side-to-side play, no up and down, about 30% liner lock engagement. And let's see, let's depress the lock and get a free swinging blade. One little oddity on these knives, mine's not the only one to do this. I've heard other guys sort of make note or even complain about this. The pivot is very smooth, but there is a little bit of a gritty sound. Let's see if you can hear this. That, as best I can tell, is the detent ball riding across the grind marks on the tang. You just notice it. It doesn't really make it less smooth. It's just a little bit of a gritty noise. Can't really feel it. Love the Tai Chung laser etching of the bug logo and the graphics on the knife. They're deep and crisp and actually add a little texture. So cool. Just not a lot to dislike about this little guy. Of course, that is the one thing that keeps it out of my pocket. It's little. You might have learned by now that I sort of prefer the big blades. The Para 2 is really about the smallest knife I enjoy carrying. Maybe the Benchmade 940, still in for service, by the way. I guess I would say this is a knife that I admire more than I like to carry. But it is a little sweetie. Had this one for, I guess a year and a half, 2 years. Not going anywhere. It's my Sunday go-to-meeting knife. It's usually in my left dress pants pocket with its unobtrusive blackened stainless steel wire clip. There's another little bit of a gripe I have about this knife. The clip holds this knife in the pocket brilliantly. It does not get in my way in any kind of cutting tasks. I will say this though, I like to sort of use a standard deployment of a flick of the thumb, and I anchor on the clip on this knife to do that, and I feel it move when I deploy the knife, and it's just a little unnerving, a little unsettling. I don't love it. A lot of guys rave about the wire clip. It does look great with this knife. And in a standard full range deployment, it doesn't bother me at all. But it has that one little idiosyncrasy. And the knife can be middle finger flicked. It can be easily Spidey dropped. It's just all Spyderco all the time in a very formal, well-made package. If you're a Delica person and if you're a Delica owner and you really don't like the Delica, as I was, in my opinion, a really bad backlock, a nasty pivot, a horribly ground blade in saber grind form, just spend twice as much money and get a Sage 1. Much more rewarding knife to carry. And a better cutter with better steel. I love the little Sage. Just doesn't see much pocket time. 'Cause I'm weird. That's all for tonight, guys. Grace to you and peace from God our Father and the Lord Jesus Christ. And remember, the word is sharp.